Most people think buying your first house is just about getting keys to a building. It's not. Buying your first house rewires your entire financial life in 5 specific ways. Some of these will surprise you. One of them changes how you think about money forever. And the last one, point 5, is why homeowners build wealth 7 times faster than renters. If you are thinking about buying your first house in the next 2 years, you need to understand what you are actually walking into. Let's go. Before we start, I need to be honest about something. Buying your first house is the single biggest financial decision most Americans will ever make. It's not like buying a car. It's not like getting a credit card. A house is a commitment that shapes your entire next 30 years. So understanding what changes when you buy one, before you buy one, is the difference between building generational wealth and being house poor for a decade. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to expect when you cross into homeownership. Channel intro. Subscribe for new money videos every Tuesday and Friday. Point 1. Your monthly payment becomes your wealth building machine. Before you buy a house, your rent payment just disappears. Every single month, you pay $800 to a landlord, and that money is gone forever. You get nothing back, not equity, not ownership, nothing. The moment you buy a house, that same $1,800 payment does something completely different. A portion of it goes to interest. That part still disappears, but the other portion goes directly into your equity. You own a piece of your house now. Here's the math that changes everything. Let's say you buy a $350,000 house with a 20% down payment. That's $70,000 down. Your monthly payment is $1,850. Of that $1,850, about $600 goes to principal. That means every single month you own $600 more of your house than you did the month before. Over 30 years, that $600 per month becomes $216,000 of pure ownership. You did nothing different. You just lived in the house. The house made you wealthy while you slept. A renter paying the same $850 per month. They own zero at the end of 30 years. Their landlord owns the house. They own nothing. This is point 1. Your payment transforms from money disappearing to money building your net worth. And this single change is why homeowners end up with an average net worth of $231,000 while renters average $6,000. Huge difference. And it started the day they signed the mortgage papers. Point 2. Your house appreciates without you doing anything. Before you buy a house, you have zero control over whether a living situation increases in value. You rent an apartment. The apartment gains value. The landlord owns that gain. You own nothing. The moment you buy a house, you own the appreciation. The house goes up in value. That value is yours. On average, American houses appreciate 3% per year. That sounds small. It's not. Let me show you with a real example. Sarah bought her first house in 2020 for $280,000. She put down $56,000 as a down payment. Over the last 5 years, her house appreciated at an average 3% per year. Her house is now worth $324,000. That's a $44,000 gain. She did nothing. She didn't renovate. She didn't flip it. She just lived there. The market did the work. But here's the crazy part. She didn't just gain $44,000 in value. She gained it on leverage. She only invested $56,000 down payment. The house gave her a $44,000 return on that $56,000. That's a 78% return in 5 years just from appreciation. A renter saving that same $56,000 in a savings account earning 4% interest would have $68,000 after 5 years. That's a $12,000 gain. Sarah got $44,000, 4 times more. And Sarah did less work. She just lived in her house. This is point 2. Your house becomes an automatic wealth-building asset. It appreciates while you sleep. The market does the work for you. Point 3. You get massive tax breaks no renter gets. Before you buy a house, you pay taxes on your full income. You get a standard deduction. That's it. The moment you buy a house, the government hands you tax deductions renters never get. And these deductions are huge. Mortgage interest is tax deductible. That means if you paid $15,000 in interest last year, you can deduct that from your taxes. Property taxes are tax deductible. If you paid $4,000 in property taxes, deduct it. Let's look at real numbers. Marcus bought his first house for $320,000. His first year mortgage interest was $12,000. His property taxes were $3,600. His homeowner's insurance mortgage interest deduction is $12,000. Property tax deduction is $3,600. Total deductions from just owning a house for $15,600. Marcus's tax bracket is 24%. That $15,600 deduction is worth $3,744 in tax savings that year. Free money from the government just for owning a house. A renter making the same income gets zero of these deductions. The government keeps their $3.744. This benefit compounds every single year. Over 30 years of homeownership, Marcus saves hundreds of thousands in taxes just because he bought a house. Point 3. Homeownership gives you tax advantages renters never get. The government actually pays you to own a house. Point 4. Your mindset about money permanently changes before you buy a house. Your money mindset is survival-focused. How do I pay rent this month? Can I afford my car payment? Do I have enough left over for food? The moment you buy a house, your mindset shifts from survival to building. You are not just paying to exist anymore. Every payment is building your future. This shift is profound. It changes how you make decisions about money for the rest of your life. A homeowner thinks differently about a job opportunity. A renter thinks, can I afford the lower salary? A homeowner thinks, will this job let me pay down my mortgage faster? A homeowner thinks differently about a business idea. A renter thinks, can I afford to risk my current income? A homeowner thinks this business could let me pay off my house in 20 years instead of 30. A homeowner thinks differently about their future. They are no longer renting from month to month. They are building something permanent. Real example. Jennifer was a renter for 8 years. She lived paycheck to paycheck. She thought she could never afford a house. Her parents pushed her to try anyway. She bought a house for $245,000 with an FHA loan requiring only 3.5% down. Her monthly payment was $1,450, almost the same as her rent had been, but something shifted. That $1,450 was building equity now. It was building her future. Within 2 years, Jennifer had gotten 2 promotions at work. She cut unnecessary spending. She picked up a side hustle. She was not doing anything different with her time. But her mindset was completely different. The house rewired her brain to build instead of survive. Point 4. Homeownership permanently shifts your money mindset from survival to building. And that mindset shift is often worth more than the house itself. Point 5. You become part of a wealth-building system that renters cannot access. Before you buy a house, you are completely outside of the wealth-building system. Banks do not care about you. You have no collateral. You own nothing they can lend against. You are invisible to the wealth-building machine. The moment you buy a house, you enter a completely different system. Banks now see you as a wealth builder. Your house becomes collateral, and collateral opens doors renters never have access to. Here's what opens up. Home equity line of credit, HELOC. Once you build equity in your house, you can borrow against it at 6 to 8% interest rates. That money can start a business. That money can invest in real estate. That money can pay for education that increases your income. A renter cannot do this. They have no collateral. Banks will not lend to them at those rates. Real example, Michael bought a house for $300,000. Over 5 years, he paid down his mortgage to $270,000 owed. His house is now worth $360,000. He has the $90,000 in equity. He can open a HELOC and borrow $50,000 at 7% interest. He uses that the $50,000 to start a real estate wholesaling business. Over 3 years, that business generates $120,000 in profit. The $50 HELOC loan cost him $10,500 in interest over 3 years. But the business made him $120,000. Net gain to $109,500. A renter with $50,000 saved cannot borrow $50,000 more at 7% to start a business. They do not have collateral. They would have to use a credit card at 22% interest. The math completely changes. The business becomes unprofitable. The house gave Michael access to a wealth system that renters cannot touch. Point 5. Home ownership gives you access to the wealth-building system through equity leverage. That access is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Of 5 points. Your payment builds equity. Your house appreciates automatically. The government gives you tax breaks. Your mindset rewires to building. You get access to the wealth system renters cannot touch. The average American renter will never own a house. The average American homeowner will build $230,000 in net worth just from buying one house. That is not a small difference. That is generational wealth. If you are thinking about buying your first house, understand what you are walking into. It is not just about having a nice place to live. It is about entering a completely different financial system where money works for you instead of against you. The first house is the hardest, But every single house you buy after that gets easier because of the equity and wealth you built from the first one. Subscribe to Dollar Blueprint. New money videos every Tuesday and Friday. See you next time.